in the early 1970s, I was in the U.S. Navy's Fleet Air Reconnaissance Squadron 1, which was also known as VQ-1. We were home based at NAS Agana, Guam, and flew detachments to various places in Southeast Asia, including Da Nang, Vietnam, and Natsuki, Japan. Our job in Vietnam was early warning, and we could stand off a couple hundred miles and would watch for missiles and listen on our radio for unfriendly aircraft and something. So it would give us time to warn our guys to get out of the way. In Japan, we would help monitor what the Russians and North Koreans were doing with their aircraft and missiles. The aircraft that we flew was the EC-121M, a version of the Lockheed Super Constellation, also known as the WV-2. So we knew them, of course, as Willie Victors. This picture is one of our aircraft. When I was there, we had 3 of these. PR-24, Bureau number 145936, PR-25, 145940, and the one in this picture, PR-27, which is 143186. Of these planes, PR-24 succumbed to a GTPU fire in Natsuki, Japan, and the other 2 were scrapped at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, the Boneyard. We also had one more airplane. It was one more Connie. It was a C-121J, 131654, pictured here. This aircraft was eventually sold to Aerochago of Santo Domingo, and it flew on until about 1992. Here she is in her later years, a little bit worn, but I think still looking beautiful. We also had the Douglas EA-3B, which fortunately I knew nothing about, and the EP-3E, which was replacing the Willies as they retired. And that brings me to this. This is the last operational WV-2 in the Navy, 141292. It was retired from the Navy in 1982 and was shown for several years at the Florence Air and Missile Museum in Florence, South Carolina. By some really strange coincidence, as the aircraft was landing in Florence, I was passing by and actually saw her land. I had no idea. Of course, I was seeing the last landing of Naval Connie. If I had, I don't know, maybe I would have done something different. But anyway, as I discovered later, I actually knew several of the guys on the plane who had been in VQ-1 with me. I heard a year or so later that she was there at the museum, and I carried my high-tech, for 1980, camera and VHS recorder there, and the results are what you see here soon. Sadly, the hot, humid South Carolina weather is not a good place to store an aircraft outdoors, and she went away fairly quickly. I heard that there was a fire, and the museum was disbanded sometime, and the aircraft was scrapped sometime in the late 90s. Here's my video. There's also a C-124 Globemaster here, and but what I'm really here for is the Connie. Our aircraft didn't have the tip tanks on them at the time I was there. I think they had them previously, but they'd been removed by the time I was in VQ-1. We also didn't have these small dorsal radomes. There's one on the bottom, one on the top. The black radome, we didn't have those as well. Engines are 3350-42s. And this is how I knew, I was aware that I knew some of the guys on the aircraft. They all wrote their names on it. Some of these guys were in VQ-1 when I was there. There's the 3350-42. The exhaust ports housed PRTs. They were power recovery turbines. It's actually a turbine that was linked back to the engine, added several hundred horsepower each to the engine. Looking forward toward the cockpit inside. They had it blocked off, and then looking out over the wing, you can see the exhaust port here at night when you're flying along. Flames shot out of these. Really beautiful blessed blue flame. It was just beautiful. They go back across the wing. Looks like Vendel's got here before I did, and they had the cockpit blocked off. You couldn't actually get up there easily when I was there. It looked like somebody had already been there anyway. Too bad. 1980s autofocus wasn't as good as modern cameras can do. Didn't handle light as well either. Crew bunks. Our aircraft had these as well. Sometimes you could sneak one if you're lucky, but mostly they're for the crew who flew the plane. And the flight engineer's panel. This is the guy that actually operated the engines and everything. The water jugs in the galley. And back here looking toward the rest area in the back. Honey bucket over on the left. That's something you didn't want to have anything to do with. This box on the bottom here is where the GTPU was housed. It was a small jet engine that operated generators to power the aircraft. And this is where the fire on PR-24 occurred, actually destroying the airplane in Japan. It operated off of avgas. So, little spark, little gas, big fire. Those classic three tails. And looking at the fat radome on the bottom, which housed a large radar dish that allowed us to see out, several hundred miles, so you fly quite away from anything that's happening in the tip tanks. If I remember correctly, the radar was called EPS 20, so it was something for its time, but time marches on. And a little bit of Globemaster just for the fun of it. (141-292) NC 121K oil filler doors, bottom of the engine. And that Hamilton Standard propeller in front of the 3350. The long nose gear, which actually had to fold, forward into the wing when you were landing, and sometimes it wouldn't lock. And our PR-50 did not one day. Guys brought it down very safe. They did a great job. Didn't destroy it. And there's that radome on the bottom that we didn't have. And that's it. That's all I took. Too bad. So anyway, hope it was entertaining, and you guys take care. Stay cool.